Hi everyone, my name is Zachary. I'm a senior studying exercise science. And then this is kind of the same study with Gorilla Tag, just looking at physical activity and enjoyment levels. So the purpose of this study was to, one, just tie in overall physical activity and how much individuals actually enjoy the game. And then also seeing if overall physical activity improves over the course of time. So if you gain more knowledge of it, if you actually do more. We did use the MetaQuest headset, so that's the one in the top left there. So that's the VR headset that participants used. And then in the bottom there, that's just a quick picture of what Gorilla Tag looks like. I'm going to talk about it more in a little bit. So overall methods of the study, so we had about 20 participants, 10 male, 10 female. Like I mentioned, they played the VR game Gorilla Tag. That was across 4 sessions. And then on one of the sessions, participants rode a stationary cycle ergometer. So that's just like a bike you see in your everyday gym. And the intensity that the individuals rode the bike matched what they played on the first and second session of Gorilla Tag. So let's say on session 2, you play it at a super high heart rate. That's what you would match on the bike session. With collecting heart rate, we used a polar heart rate monitor, chest strap, and watch. And those were continuously measuring heart rate. We also used what's called a PACE scale, and that's just pretty much looking at overall enjoyment. That's like an 8-item questionnaire, and after you average out the scores, if you score higher than a 4, that means you really enjoyed the game or whatever you were doing, and then if you're below a 4, you didn't like it as much. And then while participants were in the study, they also did what's called an RPE scale, so it's like how intense you think you're doing something, and that was on a scale of 6 to 20. So if you're like, I'm a 6, you're like, you're not really doing anything, no exertion. If you're at 20, you're like, this is awful. And then on the left here, or right for you guys, you see an overall session overview. So that's what you can typically expect, in your first session, on sessions 2 through 5. All you did was come in, play the game or bike for 15 minutes, fill out surveys, and then got out of there. Just to kind of give you guys an example of what you saw with Gorilla Tag. So on the top left, you just see monkeys. You're quite literally swinging from trees and branches playing tag. On the top right, you guys would see like a lava print monkey. Those are the people who are deemed it. So if you're it, you're trying to tag other people. If you're not it, you run away from them. And then on the bottom of the screen there, you see like an example of the map. So in the Gorilla Tag, there's a bunch of different variations, but the one we used was just a classic forest. Overall results that we saw from the 20 participants that we reviewed, we did see a significant increase in heart rate. So that was for Gorilla Tag sessions using the VR headset. So there was a significant increase. And then percentage of a heart rate reserve, we did see typically for max and average that the bike sessions were higher. And then if you see the dotted line for that top right photo, that represents moderate intensity. So we saw that the bike sessions were more moderate to vigorous, whereas Gorilla Tag was light to moderate. And then on the bottom here, that's RPE, so overall how hard they felt, or the overall exertion that they felt while either playing Gorilla Tag or biking. We did typically see that the bike sessions throughout the study had an overall higher exertion rate, and then Gorilla Tag was lower than the bike. And then continuing on with the results, so as I mentioned, we did that overall enjoyment scale, so how much they actually liked what they were doing. So on the left there, that's what I'm talking about. There was no statistical difference with our 20 subject cohort. We are continuing on to see if there is a larger difference, but as of right now, we can't say there really is a difference of, yeah, I liked it or not. But what we can see is that, so as I mentioned before, if you scored a 4 or higher, that means you did like it. At least what everyone was doing, we can say, yeah, they did like it. And then on the right side, that's a scatter plot that represents overall enjoyment of the VR game as well as physical activity. So what we can say is that the more you liked playing Gorilla Tag, the more likely you were to play the game at a higher intensity, so like moderate to vigorous or something like that. So in conclusion, we can say that playing Gorilla Tag does elicit light to moderate physical activity. And then overall, as I mentioned, the more you enjoyed the game, the more likely you were to play at a higher intensity. Thank you.